First of all, I apologize for not having a video last week. If you follow me on the social medias, you will know what's up. I ended up having to spend extra time down at mail that we weren't planning on, and I'm back now and just in time. You guys, Sonnet's Makers Box this month for May was incredible. I have a link below that lets you bypass the wait list. I highly suggest doing it because this box was everything. I could have done like 52 projects out of this thing. It was so good. So let's just jump in so you guys can see what I'm working with.
I am so excited, you guys. Everything in this box was Americana to the core, and I'm so into that right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this paper by the Painted Photographer, Stars, Stripes, and Summer Blooms, and I am just going to get this a quick cutout, use the glass to measure where I need to trim my paper down to. Then we're going to paint the back of the cardboard in white because I really want these colors to pop. I want that red, white, and blue just to pop off of this paper. And then we are going to put it all back together. And while I'm doing that, let me introduce myself. My name is Sandra, and I'm the owner and creator here at Midwest Charm. I specialize in repurposed, upcycled vintage home decor, as well as all of your DIY needs. I carry DIY paint, Sweet Pickins milk paint, Roycycled treasures, Connie lines and designs, Iron Orchid designs, and more. You can find us on all the social medias as well as on our website, midwestcharm.co. Let's move into project number 2. I have had a couple of sifters sitting around for a while now. This one has a really nice little black handle on it, and I took the paper by Roycycled Decoupage, and it is the Americana Patchwork. We're going to give everything a coat of white first, and we are using the DIY Cottage Color white linen to coat everything first. Like I said, I really want these colors to pop. I picked my section of paper out. I trimmed where it needs to go around this handle. And then we are going to use DIY's liquid patina to get our paper down. And that's going to be our decoupage medium in all of our pieces today. We're going to put this coat down. We're going to carefully apply our paper starting underneath this handle first and just lining that up. And then we're going to brush a coat over the top of this. And we're going to work our way around using that bottom lip as our guide to where the paper needs to be. And as long as it's lined up on that bottom, it should all line up in the end. And we're just going to continue to work our way around. Now, this is it does have a handle, so we do need to work around that. So when we get to this little part here, we are just going to line up our paper. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and cut a spot where that needs to go, and then just place the paper over that and continue on with our decoupage. And then the same with the handle. We're going to keep working around, and when we get to that handle, we're just going to measure where that handle is and do a slice. And then we will decoupage that part down and then go around the handle with that cut up and get the rest of this done. It's very important that this piece completely dries before we do anything else. And it's just a matter of taking your time on this and really just going slow and using a mister bottle to dampen that paper, because with that paper just slightly damp, it does stretch a little bit more and it does have a little bit more movement to it. Then when it dries, it pulls nice and tight and you get a really smooth finish. And here is where I cut for that handle, and just make sure to cut all the way up and then work your way around. So we're going to get that other part down, and then we're going to move in with the rest of this. And once it has completely dried, then we are going to take that same X-Acto knife and go along all of the edges and trim it off and then just peel it all back. Do any touch up that's needed. If I got any of that white on that rim, I just scratch it off. Um, this turned out really, really super cute. I can't wait for you guys to see this at the end, which is where all of my final results will be. But then I'm like, this patchwork piece has so many good parts to it. So I decided to do one more quick little piece here. So really, you're getting a bonus piece. I took some of this little gingham check here and I measured it out onto what size I needed. I took a wood spoon and I taped off just a little bit on the end, a couple of inches, and painted it with our white and let it completely dry. And then I go in with the decoupage paper and now we're going to peel off our tape so that we've got that nice clean line to work with. I've already misted that paper so it'll have a little bit more stretch. And I want the top of this to be smooth, so I don't want the seam there. So we're going to just lay this flat and then just start with our decoupage medium, lay the piece on, and then just work our way around. I'm going to sand off all of the edges and any little bits and then reseal everything up. And this was just a really cute addition to the piece, to the projects. It would look good in a utensil dish with some greenery. I have it at the end just laying on a book stack and it is adorable. Super easy, and I could have done a whole bunch of these with that patchwork and it would have been so stinking cute. This paper, really every paper in this box gives you so many opportunities. I didn't even really use too much of the paint. I used it on one project. So I have so many more supplies to go in and work on more pieces, and I plan to. Project number 3, I love this. So these are some flag cutouts that I had made for me, and we're going to use the napkin. And with the napkin, there's usually more than one ply there, so I'm just peeling this apart, and then we're going to cut it into each of these 4 sections and set one aside, and we're going to use 3. I have already painted these pieces in on both sides in our white paint that we use, the cottage color, and they're completely dry. They have sat for a couple days, and now we're going to go in with the napkins. So we are just going to get a nice healthy coat of decoupage medium on these. We're going to place the napkin on, smooth it out, and then seal over the top and let it dry completely, and repeat this process on each of our little flags. These little wood cutouts have so many possibilities, and I could have used every single one of these papers on these, but this napkin was just perfect for what I had envisioned. And I just line these up. I'm not even, they don't match identically, and I'm totally okay with that. Once these have completely dried, and again, it is so important that this step is complete, that it is really dry before you sand off these edges, or you will tear your piece. When you go along the edge with these little finger sanders, it then just peels right off. It is super easy to use and gives it a really clean finish. Then, while this was all drying, I actually tore strips of fabric. I went to Michael's and just picked up some red, white, and blue pieces. They didn't have a lot to choose from. And those stars, while they were cute, they didn't really match with these flags. So I decided to use some other of the brighter ones. So we're just taking jute, tying a knot on both ends of this, and then I lay the string out, find my halfway point, and then I could not, for the life of me, I have twice now bought the wrong size glue sticks for my glue gun. So I had to think outside the box, and I went and found these cute little chunky paper clothespins that I had, and we attached our flags to the string using the clothespins. And then I'm just taking some vintage lace, some skinny red little ribbon I had in my stash, and then the white and red polka dot fabric, the blue and white polka dot fabric, and then some plain red. And I'm just tying these pieces on here. There's no rhyme or reason. There is no pattern. I'm just trying to get it nice and filled up. And they are all differing lengths. I was going to go back in and trim them all to about the same, but I really like the final look of it. And by tearing these strips, it gives it a rusticy, I don't know. I love it. It turned out so stinking cute. I have it hanging right now on my little hutch in my that holds my paint, and it's so adorable. And I just went in and filled up in between each flag and then a little bit on each end of the after the flags on the plain rope part, and just hung this up, and it is so sweet. And you could use whatever fabrics you happen to have. I ended up finding two of these in the um what's it called when they have extras left, remnants, the remnants section, and then the rest, the stars and the red were in the remnants, and then the rest was in the bolts, and I had the lace. And project number 4 is our final project today. You guys, this one might be my favorite. I've had this old cutting board for a little bit now, and I pulled it out because this paper is fabulous. Again, we put 2 coats of our white paint on here, let this dry completely before we went in, and I am using Vintage Old Glory, and I love this piece so much. I think I may go back in and drill a hole in the top of this so that I can hang it with some jute and maybe even wrap some of those pieces of the fabric around. So I wanted this to kind of have the stars on one part and then the stripes on the other and kind of be off center. So that's what I did. And then I'm going to mist my paper so that we get a little bit more stretch and it's a little bit more workable. And then we're just going to use our decoupage medium, which again is our um, liquid patina. We're going to put a layer of that liquid patina down, smooth the paper over it, and then work on the rest of that piece and just slowly moving across. It has such a great final finish to it. I can't wait to hear what you think of this piece. This piece was beautiful. In the background, what you don't see is there's the Constitution's kind of in the back and faded, and it's beautiful paper. Again, I have so much left from this box. So in your box, you're going to get 2 exclusive Roycycled decoupage papers, 2 exclusive Connie Lines and Designs by the Painted Photographer paper, 2 DIY paints, 2 Fusion milk paints, and 1 Sweet Pickens milk paint. And then Sonnet always includes a napkin in there too. And as you can see, I've used hardly any of it. So I have another project coming up soon that is red, white, and blue as well. So you may see some of these pieces make a reappearance, and you may see more using these same papers and those colors that I haven't even touched, you guys. I end up using a little bit of that marquee red on this piece in just a second. My tip on this piece, y'all, is it is big and it's rounded. So as this dries and tightens up, it's going to pull on the edges. So you want to make sure after you have this completely done and you have it sealed up, go over it that one last time and then cut some relief cuts around all the edges, especially around that handle and the bottom curve, so that it does not pull up as it's drying. And this will save you having to re-decoupage little bits down. And then once it is completely dry, you are going to take your little finger sander and go around the edges and get that excess paper off. Again, I may go back in and drill a hole in the handle so it can be hung, because I think that would be the cutest way to do that. And then I will also be going in and cleaning this up just a bit. So here you can see it is dry, and I am going in with that finger sander. You can also see like on the curve there of the handle where I did my relief cuts, and you can see that it laid down really nice and flat for me. So we're going to get all of this excess off, and then I'm going to clean up the back because this we're going to just go in with that sander, sand off any excess and around the edges to make sure there's no crusties on there. And then we are going to take out our marquee paint and a small angled paintbrush and do the edge. I am going to leave the back of this plain for now. I decided I didn't want to add anything to it, but because this is a DIY clay-based paint, if I get any paint on the back or the front paper, I'm able to just take a baby wipe and wipe it right off. And I do go in with 2 coats of this paint just to make sure that it covers fully. You can see as I'm going through this that there are some spots where the white is on the sides and it looks a little bit lighter there. So I do go in with those 2 coats. So we're going to get the 2 coats on here, let this dry, and then clean up that back one more time, and we are all done. So you guys, check out these final pictures of my projects and let me know what you think. I love, love, love them.
What did you think? It was so good, wasn't it? Every paper was fabulous. Every project, I just kept coming up with more and more and more and more. And I only have so much time. So I was like, well, let's just go with what I've got. And here we are. So let me know below which project was your favorite. What you thought of the box in general. I think it was absolutely incredible. I can't wait to use the rest of those papers. I have another project in plan with a lot of those. In fact, you may see some of these items reappear soon too. I'm so excited. So let me know below what you thought. Thanks for following me and watching. I always appreciate it. And we will see y'all next time. Bye.